It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I had the privilege to interview John McCormack, who is the FAU head baseball coach. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Brandon. How are you?
I'm doing good. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to start college baseball coaching?
Well, I didn't really know that I wanted to coach. When I was growing up, I was probably more leaning towards either teaching and or, something in the business world. And I came to FAU 32 years ago to go to graduate school. And the way to pay for it is I was going to help the baseball team. And then when I got here and started, I just kind of fell in love with it and, um, ended up doing it for a couple years and then found out that you could make a living at it and it would be something that I would enjoy. So I stuck with it.
That's amazing. Is FAU the only place that you've been in your
I've
coaching
only worked
career?
at one place, FAU.
Can you talk about what you've accomplished at FAU?
Well, we've had some really good teams. I've been fortunate to be around some really good players. I never like to say I accomplished, we accomplished. The number I worked here 16 years before I became the head coach, and then I've been the head coach ever since. And we've been, the numbers bear out that we've been successful, but we've also been really successful in building a great network of human beings. We want the guys to leave here as better people. And I would have to say to this point, we've done a pretty good job of that.
Can you talk about the culture that you have built at FAU?
Well, it's a family culture. We have a saying here called OTF, only the family. And when you're in a family and within that family, there's always some bumps and bruises, right? You fight with your brother, but then you don't let anybody fight with your, on the outside. You can fight with them, but no one else can. So, we talk about, getting in this program and making it bigger than yourself. We talk about, when I come to practice every day or I come to the locker room, I have to make sure that I check my ego at the door and I'm here for the rest of the team. And so we always say OTF, only the family, which kind of encompasses a lot, but it just kind of reminds everybody that we're a family, we're in it together. No one's greater than the next person, and we can accomplish great things together.
As the head baseball coach, how was it switching from the Sun Belt to the Conference USA?
Well, it wasn't much different. We had to learn new cities. We're flying into different places. The Sun Belt was and still is a great baseball conference, and Conference USA is a great baseball conference. So it was just, you got a sense of when you're in a conference, you get a sense of how the teams are. So now we had tailored what we do around some of those teams. So then when you get into a new league, you had to kind of change some things. And these are minor things, tailored to some ballparks. I know you want to do what you do and not worry about the opponent as much. But I think there is a little bit of that. And you see it like the Rams traded for Jalen Ramsey, one of the best, if not the best, corners, and they did it for, three or four guys in their division, DK Metcalf, and they made a specific move to thwart other people. So at times we made strategic things that we went from the Sun Belt for Conference USA, but they were both great baseball conferences. I really enjoyed the Sun Belt. I love Conference USA, especially the coaches and the competition.
Who are some of the teams that you have faced in this Conference USA?
Well, the league is kind of stabilized. The league is made up of Florida International, Old Dominion, Marshall, uh, Western Kentucky, Middle Tennessee, UAB, Charlotte, Southern Miss, La Tech, Rice, and UTSA. Um, Now, some of those teams, uh, West Virginia, WKU, FIU, Middle 10, we faced in Sunbelt, and we all came over kind of together as a group. And then the holdovers were, of course, Southern Miss, Old Dominion. Charlotte had come into the league a little bit later. Marshall had been a holdover. So the league has gone through some changes. UTSA had come from, I think, the Southland. La Tech had come from, I think they were like in the West Coast Conference or the Big West. So now the tough part about it is we're kind of spread out. We go from Miami, Florida, all the way to Texas, El Paso for other sports. Texas, El Paso does not play baseball. So, and then up to Marshall, over to Virginia Beach for Old Dominion. So it is a tough conference to get around, especially for us. There is no real, except for FIU, there is no real bus trips. So it becomes a little bit tougher, but it's all part of it, you know.
Can you talk about the 2013 season, whenever you won the third Sun Belt championship?
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. We had found out that December we were leaving, and this was going to be our last year. So, like in the end of 2012, like this time, we found out we were leaving. So this was going to be our last run in the Sun Belt, and we had won a championship in 10 and 12, and wanted to try to get one more before we left. The regular season championship kind of eluded us, and we had to set our sights to the conference tournament now. And it's surprising, even we still talk about it today, how we won. Our flight out of Miami, we were leaving on Monday to get to Lafayette. It was played at Lafayette, and Lafayette had an amazing team, and they had a great year. Our flight did not leave until we were supposed to leave at 5 the day before on Monday. It didn't leave till 5 in the morning. We flew to New Orleans, jumped in some vans, drove to Lafayette, checked in the hotel at 9 in the morning, turned around, got dressed, and went to practice. And I'm like, oh my God, this is starting off on a way bad foot. Went over, practiced. We had switched practice times. We were supposed to originally practice at 2 or 3, but we had switched practice times with another team because they were going to drive in that day. And I was like, yeah, we're getting there on Monday night. We'll get up early and practice. No big deal. So it was a little tough. And then we played our first game, won by a run or two. And then the next game we won. It was a close game. Then the next game we had a lightning delay, and we went back to the hotel. Then it started to rain, and then we had to come back and finish an inning. Came back the next day, finished an inning, and then got to the championship game, and we were beating Lafayette 13-3, and we had a 2 or 3 hour lightning delay. And I thought they were going to call it, and we were going to be champs. We had plane tickets Sunday out of New Orleans. So during the lightning rain delay, I'm talking to the commissioner. I'm like, we've got a 7 o'clock plane. We've got to get going. Well, we got to finish the game. So basically we took the plane tickets, threw them in the garbage, called the bus company and said, hey, can you drive us back to Boca? So we won the championship. We finally got back on the field. I think we won the game 16-9. Took all the pictures, everything, went and showered, jumped on a bus, drove all the way through the night, got back to Boca at 11. And then I told the guys, go home, shower, change, And then we had to be back at school for the selection show. So it was chaotic, but it was fun. It was a lot of fun. We still talk about those days. And, that's one of the things in college baseball that you never forget is the kind of, quirkiness and kookiness of some of the travel that happens. And some of that's going away because people are chartering now, and, it makes for a better existence. But, we certainly do miss out on some of those kind of, odd travel things that happen. And that was one of them, both on the way there and on the way back. But in the middle, we play great baseball.
That's an amazing story on how the life of baseball works.
Yeah.
Can you talk about your amazing 2020 season before it got cut short due to COVID?
Yeah, we were playing really well. I was proud of the guys. We just come off a win against the University of Miami and beat Penn, and I thought we were coming together as a team. When we played a really challenging schedule, went to Florida State, Texas Tech, and we were looking for big things. But we saw it coming. Like, I think we were the first college baseball game to get canceled that Wednesday. We were supposed to play Penn at 3:00 or 4:00. And I had already talked to the team a couple of weeks earlier about coronavirus. I'm a huge news watcher, and I'm like, hey, we've got to think that this might be coming. This is, more than the flu. And so we were playing Penn on that Wednesday at 4:00, and I walked out in the dugout. We had taken BP. I went in and changed. I came back out to do the pregame radio, and our SID said to me, he's like, hey, I think there's something going on over there. We just got a tweet that the Ivy League has canceled all spring sports. So I walked over there, and as I was walking over, their coach had told their team, and their whole team had kind of erupted into basically the season's over. I can't believe it. And it was such a heart-wrenching scene. There were guys crying. There was parents consoling. It was because the rug was pulled out right from under them, 20 minutes before the game was going to be played. So we stuck around for about 40 minutes to see if they could play. And then between the Ivy and both schools, it was just best if we didn't play. And I remember telling our guys, I go, this might be happening. This might be happening, So I don't know if you remember, that was that day, went home that night. The next day we were flying to Old Dominion. That night, the NBA canceled the season. That was March 11th. The NBA canceled the season. And I remember calling my boss that night, and I was like, should we even go? And they were like, no, we're okay. Conference USA is still rolling. Went to the airport. My boss had called and said, hey, don't get on the plane yet. We're talking to the president. Right before the plane was leaving at 11, at like 10:15, the airlines came to me and like, hey, coach, you guys got to check in. We got to get the bags on the plane. My boss called. He says, no, Conference USA says they're a go. We took off. Not an hour into the flight, one of the players came up to me and said, hey, coach, the NCAA basketball tournament, the Conference USA basketball tournament, the SEC basketball tournament, all these tournaments were canceled. This is an hour into the flight. We land. I get a call that says that the baseball season has been suspended. So we spent the day in the airport, landed at like 1, spent the afternoon in the airport, and then flew home at 5. And that was the end of the season. Got home about 8:00. And that was the end of the season. We stuck around for a few days because the Conference USA did not cancel the season. They had suspended it. And then about a week, 10 days later, they canceled it. So then we sent everybody home.
Can you talk about how you helped your team? Like, of course, like when some of them were like sad that their season got cut short, what helped you to build to know that maybe come this coming spring, we might be playing college?
Well, I think the thing is to make sure that they knew they weren't alone, that We were here for them. And I think the thing that made it a little bit easier for all of them was it wasn't like we were singled out and we couldn't play. Everybody in the country wasn't playing. They weren't playing basketball. They weren't playing college baseball. Major League Baseball had suspended spring training, or the NBA had been canceled. So I think everybody understood it. Then it was just a matter of managing how they felt and to say, hey, no one's been through this before, at least in everybody's lifetime. I'm sure there were some people, maybe there was some people in the world that were around during the first pandemic, or the pandemic in 1917, but they would have to be very old, and God bless them for that. But I think it was like, this will pass. I don't know when it's going to pass, but this will pass. And the thing to do is not to panic, to follow the rules of the CDC, take care of your schoolwork, take care of yourself, take care of your family, and just kind of continue on through each day. If you need something, let us know. And the guys did a great job with it. By the end of March, everybody was home with their families. So of course their families helped. And, then for baseball players, for a lot of baseball players, come June, it kind of went back to normal. They went and played summer ball. They went all over the country and played summer ball. We had guys in West Palm Beach. We had guys in Texas. We had guys in Carolinas and up in Orlando playing college baseball, out in Omaha playing college baseball, summer baseball. So for them, not much changed. Came back to school. We started practice. Of course, there was some, different protocols we had to follow, but young people are very resilient. We see it every day. And I think the best thing to do is just to, keep encouraging them and make sure that they know that they're not alone.
Can you talk about the recruitment process at FAU for baseball and what that's like?
It takes a little while. We like to take our time. You win games with players, you win championships with people. And for us, the person is the big part of what we want to make sure we got right. The talent is the easy part. You can see them play, you see the swing, you see, how well they pitch, or infield, outfield, whatever it is. Then you have to make sure that they're the right person for what we're trying to accomplish here. That they understand that, it's about the team, and it's about them getting a degree, and it's about college is a vehicle to set you up for the next 50 years of your life. And we're going to do that through the sport of baseball. And if the end of your career, if there's an opportunity to play professional baseball, God bless. But at the end of your career, we've got to be able to transition out of college athletics and being a collegiate student to being a productive member of society, and give them the tools to have a really good life from the age of, 24 to 74, and that includes making sure they have a good degree, making sure that they understand. They'll never truly understand what life is about until they start living it. But our job is to make sure that they understand a lot of what's going to happen to them in the near future.
Can you talk about, on the official visit, what that's like?
When they visit, it's we don't do glitz and glamour like a lot of people do. This is what a normal day will be like. This is, you're going to eat in the cafeteria, and you're going to come and work out, and you're going to go to practice, and you have study hall, and, then you have other things that requirements in terms of team building exercises and stuff like that. And I think we've done everything. We've done the glitz and glamour where we go down to the beach and we do this, and we take them to eat at this restaurant, and it gives them a false sense of really what it's like. I want them to be on campus as much as possible to get a feel for the campus, to say, okay, hey man, I really like this place. I have a good feeling in my bones, and this is where I want to go to school, opposed to, having them stay at some hotel down on the beach, which they'll never recreate that in their 4 years here, or going to some restaurant that, is unattainable. Of course we treat them right. We go have a nice dinner, but again, it's more about getting to know them as people, and more importantly, them getting to know us, that they understand what their daily expectations are going to be.
During your time at FAU, how many players have you helped made it get to the professional level of baseball?
Oh, I'm going to estimate, somewhere in the 120 range. 120, 130 guys have had an opportunity to go play professional baseball in some form or fashion. And, we were able to provide a means for them to do that, which is awesome. We put, it's always about the players. Coaches are, we put the structure in place, we help them, but they make the decision if they want to be good. They make the decision if it's important to them. Not I can't make it for them.
How does it feel whenever the players get that first signing of the MLB, knowing that you helped them get there?
Well, a lot of them are very nice. They text or call and, say, hey, coach, it wouldn't have been possible without you, which is certainly nice. But, I tell them, again, it's you. We provided the opportunity. We provided the vehicle. We provided structure. You did it. Your talent did it. Your DNA did it. Your drive did it. But I certainly do appreciate it. It's nice that, we talk about gratitude in this program, that no one is where they are in life without somebody helping them along. So it's nice that they remember those lessons we talk about.
What advice would you give upcoming high school athletes looking to play college baseball?
What advice? Find a place where you can be successful, both or all three, academically, socially, and then baseball wise, athletically. Because if the first two aren't good, the last one will never work. If you're in a place you don't want to be, and be honest and true and do some work and ask some tough questions. That's the part that never happens. Young people don't want to ask tough questions because A, they either know the answer to, and they know it's not good, or B, they don't want to know. So when you get an opportunity, and I tell young people all the time, when you get an opportunity to get in front of a college coach, bring out a list of questions. Like, I'd like to know this, and what happens here. And it's not about uniforms, and it's not about locker rooms, and it's not about any of that stuff. It's about the people and how, and the expectations they have for you. And of course, the expectations you have for yourself. That would be the thing, is to, find the best place for you, not the place that looks the best on Twitter.
That's great advice. What advice would you give upcoming college players that are making it now into the professionals?
Realize it's a business. Keep working. Realize it's a business. Don't worry about, realize it's a business, but don't worry about the business of baseball. Because I tell guys all the time, you're going to be in the locker room, you're going to be in spring training, you're going to see guys get moved up, moved around, released. Don't get caught up in that. That's the worst thing you can do, is this is not fair, or they don't know. Just put your head down and keep working. Enjoy the experience of it. And a lot of guys you see a lot of guys leave professional baseball and they're very jaded. They don't want to, we've had players here that have played a couple years of minor league baseball, and they're like, I never want to do anything after going through that. I never want to do anything with baseball again. And it's because of the business of baseball gets them. They're in a certain place and they're playing well, but because this guy got more money, he gets to play, or he gets moved up, or you get, you're having a good year, you get released, because in baseball, they don't reveal the big picture to you. You're one of, 200 minor leaguers, and you're at their will. It's a very, very poorly set up system in terms of if you're a player. There's no money. Um, you rarely ever see the kind of light at the end of the tunnel. Um, and I tell guys, I was like, you can't let that stuff bother you. You just got to kind of put your head down and keep playing, and try not to worry about the other stuff, which is really hard.
What advice would you give upcoming college coaches looking to get into the industry?
Be flexible. Try to align yourself with good people that are willing to help you in your career and not just use you for 2 years of BP and fungo, and someone that's going to help you invest in your career. And when you get to a place, be invested in that place and don't be looking to get out so quickly. Young people seem to be wanting to move so much, like they're there for a year, then they want to go somewhere else. And don't be afraid to get invested and let the next opportunity come to you, opposed to, I know other people say, you got to be out there networking. Well, you could do that, but also don't be bebopping around so much that people go, well, he's not invested in anything. Um, and then be flexible. I actually, before I got on this call, I was talking to a young man that wants to get into college coaching, and I've known him since he was young. And I go, some of the things you can do for yourself to make you attractive to college coaching is make sure you know how to do video. And when I say do video, make sure you know how to break it down in terms of splicing it up and getting it to everybody that needs to have it, slow motion, stop action, all that stuff. I said, have some rudimentary skills of graphic arts, some sort of graphic design. I go, a lot of things are Twitter based. So to be able to put a background in or to be able to do some of that stuff is really valuable. Learn some technology. You don't have to be an expert, but you have to be able to sit in a room and say, yes, I know how to use Rapsodo or TrackMan or Blast or whatever it is that university is using. And then the last thing is if you want to coach, and I asked this young man, I said, if I brought you in to coach a camp for us, what would be your expertise? And he goes, probably outfield base running. I said, okay, do you know how to teach a young man from the beginning basics to collegiate level coaching or collegiate level playing? And he's like, well, I do. I said, have you written it down? And he goes, no. I go, well, I want you to write it down. I want you to put together, the things that are really important to you, the points of emphasis, what you're trying to teach. I go, you have to sell yourself, one, to whoever's going to hire you, and two, when you get there, you just can't walk out there and start hitting fungo. People are going to go, well, you're not really teaching anything. And you have to develop you develop a coaching style that is yours. You don't want to kind of fake it, because the young people, the players, they'll know you're faking it. Just be who you are. Have your information set up. If you don't know, say, I don't know. Because college kids and high school kids today have a lot of information at their fingertips. So if you're BSing them, one, you might get away with it for a couple weeks, a month, a semester, but they're eventually going to find out you don't know what you're talking about. So make sure that you know what you're talking about. Become an expert in something, and then have a really good knowledge base of other things. That way you can help out and you can be flexible. That next job that opens up, you could raise your hand and say, hey, I know this A, B, and C about this, so I can help your organization.
That's wonderful advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media along with FAU baseball
At FAU Coach Mac, is that right? I apologize. I don't know my own Twitter. I think it's just FAU baseball, at FAU baseball. And then mine is, I'm going to look it up right here. I think it's at FAU Coach Mac. Yes, at FAU Coach Mac. And then FAU baseball. And we do during the season, we do a weekly podcast to kind of wrap up the previous week. And then we preview the upcoming opponent. It's called Mac's Musings. That's always good. People enjoy it. I have a tendency to be a little funny. Maybe sarcastic is a better word at times. But it gives it gives you kind of like a wrap up of the previous week. And then, like I said, a preview of the upcoming week. So we talk about the opponent. We talk about, how our guys are doing, and it's good. And if you need something, just reach out. My email's online. If I can help you, I will. I know this is not an easy business to get into. College coaching is a tough life. It's a very rewarding life, but it's tough. It's tough to carve out a living and have a family. I've been very fortunate. I've had a lot of help along the way. But if I can help somebody, I certainly will.
Thank you again, Coach Mack, for your interview, and best of luck in your future.
You too, Brandon. Appreciate it. Keep up the good work, okay?
Thank you. You can find
See you later.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon. And you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach Mack, for your interview, and best of luck.
Wow, thank you. You're all over the place.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.